Well, the 8 Deadly Sins training program grew out of the lessons of the workplace autopsy. These autopsies that I'd done of these terminal employment workplace relationships, and realizing that they were 100% preventable. What did management need to do differently, and how you can effectively ensure that none of your workplace decisions are going to ever end up in the United States legal system. And in the meantime, you're going to have better, more productive relationships with your employees.
In 25 years of conducting autopsies of terminal employment relationships, I have never yet to this day done one that I said was inevitable, that had to happen, couldn't have been stopped.
Well, I've been practicing law for over 25 years. The vast majority of that has been dealing with workplace disputes, workplace litigation, workplace problems. I've worked in virtually every industry. I've worked with profits, nonprofits, government entities. I tend to have an understanding about what are the recurring hot buttons in their workplace. What are some of the cultural challenges they face? And then what I do, whether it's with the 8 Deadly Sins, the Jerks at Work, or the Star Profile program, is adjust those and adapt those to try to create the maximum opportunity for the training to have an impact that goes to where you, the client, have identified the greatest need.
Now, the interesting thing was when I talked to the manager about this, he felt this was an exception to the rule that I said to you before about insult and injury. He felt he'd just been set up, this guy was a conniving blankety-blankety-blank. And he resisted the idea that, in fact, Joe was genuinely mad at him, genuinely angry, genuinely had a desire to strike back at this manager.
What I learned was that if you wanted to change behavior, you had to do it through emotion. You had to do it through stored memory. You had to do it through the so-called right brain of people, not their logical or left brain, if you will. And that's where stories became critical. Actual stories where people could find themselves in the story. That's when people started to change from, well, that's an interesting idea, that might be helpful, might have to look into this sometime, to I'm leaving here today and doing something different.
So it's a 3-step process. Explore, acknowledge, and respond. That's how you use your ear in listening. Now, doing that, if you do the E and the A, does that sort of force you to agree? No.
What I really like in giving these presentations is the look of recognition on the face of the audience. When I tell a story or explain a concept, and they say, aha, that's me, or that's my experience, or that's my life. And then when they start to see, and you can tell that they start to see in their own minds how they could improve things for themselves.
And it's called the same-day summary. Within a day, usually less than a page, you summarize the key points of a discussion you've had with an employee. But it's amazing how useful this tool can be because you'll use it.
One of the key things is you've got to use it soon and again or you'll lose it. And so one of the things I do with my clients is to get people putting these tools to work at their earliest opportunity. So they start to experience the benefit of them and then encourages and reinforces in them doing it again and again until it becomes habit.
I've been doing this program for a long time, and when I talk to managers who have had this program in the past, I'll often ask them, what takeaways did you have? And they'd say, I've noticed that I don't have to give as much direction. Because when I point out a particular behavior that's worth repeating, they tend to just do more of it without me asking.
The shift that I've made from, I like to call it firefighting, to fire prevention, I think is driven as much as anything in a desire to make things better. If you've ever been in litigation, you will tend to find that it is a destructive process, a painful process. Conversely, when I'm wearing my training hat, my speaking, my coaching, my consulting hat, there's an opportunity to grow and to build things. And not just in a way that prevents the specter of litigation from occurring, but in ways that just make the organization better. And I find that very exciting and very humbling and very gratifying to be a part of.